Well, Bob, I suppose I do want to ask you, what have you taken out of today? How does this make you feel? As something that you helped kick off, how does this make you feel to get to this point?
Well, today makes me feel much better than I expected it would.
Good. Tell me about that.
You've all done very well. No, it's true that every single speaker had something to say, and everything that people said sort of fulfilled the ambitions that people like I and Graham Warboys and Ian Pulsford had long ago. Remember that it began because also there are other examples around the world, Yellowstone to Yukon. Graham and Ian were thinking about the issues of connectivity conservation a lot, and they were beginning to theorise about it. We had the general idea, and I think we anticipated some things. I've noticed during the day that the GER idea fits with the idea that the economy of the world is becoming more transactional. You know, there are websites exchanging apartments actually sell more bed nights now than the Hilton hotel chain.
Really?
The world is changing. I can say this. I knew in 2007 and before that you couldn't make environment programs work unless you had all levels of government and the community involved. Governments, in a way that continues still to drive me crazy, constantly change policies.
Yeah.
People can't keep the same arrangement for an NRM in place for more than 3 years without wanting to change it for some damn reason or other. But you just knew that was the case. And today I've seen the best demonstration that it was true that you need a collective resolution to what is a problem of adaptation. Because nothing else will work. The same thing is true for many programs of social welfare, but nothing else will work except something like what we're talking about. But all of this began because we knew it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And some of the new partnerships in GER had very big government funding. On the other hand, some had very little. And I can't tell you what's the happy mean. I don't think just ripping all the funds out of the federal environment budget is either a friendly or an effective way to proceed. And I can't see how. And I have always noticed that small local groups are helped by small local amounts of money. Yeah. Often a local group will do very well with just quite small grants, and GER knows that too and is providing a lot of them. That's terrific. You know, half the world doesn't have an environment as we understand it.
No.
It's either like all through the Mediterranean, the Middle East and North Africa, hardly anything's left at all.
No.
Goats ate it.
Yep.
All of Europe is a garden.
Yes.
And one thing I did learn in America was very scary, which is that there is an emerging group of ecologists who have adopted a kind of neo-conservative position that matches Tony Abbott's economics. I actually have written something earlier this year about the essentially bipartisan nature of Australian environment policy that existed for some generations, and it just ended. And it's a question for another forum and another time, no doubt. But it has ended right at the moment. There's a huge difference between the attitude of the state government and the federal government, even to the GER. So we have to see what emerges there. People in the North America, some of them associated with environment NGOs, are essentially arguing that there is no such thing as wilderness. Everything's been messed about by human beings. We should just abandon any attempt to protect it in any pristine form and just really accept that everything's a garden. That I believe is a kind of an ideological campaign that we may expect to emerge in this country soon. It's a diabolical proposition, and other Americans have begun to write important rebuttals to those arguments, but they are being made.
Well, almost every negative thing in America does come here sooner or later. Bob, let's finish on a positive note. Have you got from everything you've heard, have you got a message to, a basic message that you think is critical for people?
Well, my overwhelming feeling is that this group of people is on track. This group of people is really elaborating some ideas that were introduced nearly a decade ago and beginning to enter intellectual and technical territory that were not even thought about then, and that arrangements such as that you are all engaged in, though it is not sufficient to protect our environment, I think are absolutely necessary. And the key now is to find ways in which the success of GER and its future projection can actually be made better known in the rest of the community. Because, as someone said during the day, 90% of Australians now live in cities cut off from the bush. And I'll bet there's hardly anybody in this room that grew up cut off from the bush. Almost everybody in this room will have had some connection with the bush.
Do the tadpole test. I always do the tadpole test. Who grew up catching tadpoles?
When they were little?
There you are. And we.
So that's a giant challenge.
Yeah.
Important to say, Penny,
Yes.
that we're talking about GR today, but
Yeah.
Keith Bradby's Gondwana link and the South Australian nature links and the Tasmanian mid-landscape and some others that are of equal importance and part of what I hope is the vast change that's going on.